Coming up on today's show, we're going to be breaking down some pro football-focused snap counts for Alabama, just the offensive side of the ball for now. We'll do defense tomorrow, but for now, just want to stick with offense. We're going to be breaking down the snap counts and just kind of, how it's kind of correlating to what these guys are putting on the field for Alabama. And I think, some of these some of these snap counts are a little bit interesting as well. But before we get into that, guys, help us get to 19,500 subscribers. We are only 20 away from that, so help me out right now. Go ahead and hit that sub button. That's youtube.com/@RollTideTV. We'll start off with the running backs here. Not even going to bother with the quarterbacks because Jalen Milroe is your starter, whether you guys like it or not. Justice Haynes, Jam Miller, obviously, they're your running backs 1 and 2. And look, I put the running backs 1 through 5 on there just strictly on the snap count. So just because Daniel Hill is sitting there, I got running back 3 on there. Don't shoot me. He's got more snaps right now than Richard Young. That's the only reason I did it like that. Plus, Richard Young is also kind of banged up right now, so we'll see how that goes for him. But also, I do think Daniel Hill has played pretty well in the snaps that he has gotten so far. But I want to focus mainly on Justice Haynes and Jam Miller. Justice Haynes right now, 76 snaps. He's leading that running back room in total snaps, but I don't think it's necessarily, correlating to actual production on the field at times. Versus Western Kentucky, he was on the field for 12 offensive snaps, only carried the ball 4 times, and he was phenomenal in those 4 carries, had over 100 yards on those, but it was only 33% of the snaps that he was out there that he actually got the ball. Against South Florida, 45 snaps, a lot of snaps in that game, only 13 carries though. 29% of the time that he was out there, he actually got the ball. And then only 10% of the time against Wisconsin. And early in that game, I did think Justice Haynes was really able to move the ball, for Alabama. I think in that South Florida game, he was kind of having some trouble getting in there, moving the ball. And then Jam Miller was, doing a solid job. So they went with a hot hand there. But look, Justice Haynes on the season so far, I think he's been really, really solid for Alabama, averaging over 8 yards per carry. He's been amazing for you. I would just like to see, when he's out there, I would like to see him, get more carries when he is out there. Going over to Jam Miller now. I think Jam has been, really, really great for you as well this year. We talked about it so much in the lead up. The fact that Jam Miller and Justice Haynes really going to be 1A, 1B for you. And, whoever was going to have the hot hand is who was going to get the ball. And I think you have seen that more with Jam Miller early on in the year. Going right to that South Florida game. 19 snaps he was on the field. He carried the ball 15 times. Over 79% of the time that he was on the field, he got the ball in his hands. So for me right now, kind of seems like the coaching staff is really starting to go to Jam Miller a lot more, giving him the ball when he is on the field than Justice Haynes. Also, I do think Jalen Milroe getting in the rushing attack a little bit more this year is kind of, taking some of those carries away from Justice Haynes, and I don't necessarily hate that at all. I think Jalen Milroe has been absolutely phenomenal for Alabama. 36 carries this year for over 100 yards, 6 touchdowns on the ground. Look, Jalen Milroe, one of the things that I asked Tommy Rees last year so much is run the ball with Jalen Milroe. He is one of the best, most athletic and electric players in college football. This guy has to get the ball in his hands, get some designed runs. And I think Nick Sheridan has done a phenomenal job with Jalen Milroe, designing runs specifically for him. Get Tyler Booker and Jaden Roberts, pull those guys. When you have both of those guys pulling and blocking in front of Jalen Milroe, it becomes almost impossible to stop. So get in the comment section for me right now, guys. Who do you guys right now through 3 games think is running back 1? Is it Jam Miller? If you think so, type 26. If you think Justice Haynes is still running back 1, type 22. Or if you just want Alabama to go with the hot hand and, whoever's best, put them out there, type B if you think it's both. Going over to the wide receivers now. Some really interesting things here. I think Germie Bernard leading Alabama in snaps at that wide receiver position. And then you have Ryan Williams, a guy who 17 years old still. It's phenomenal what he's been able to do. Kendrick Law right behind him with 67 snaps on the season. We will talk about Kendrick Law a little bit more here in just a second. Kobe Prentice at 56 snaps. I think he's been good for you too. I really, really like the explosiveness that Kobe Prentice can bring to the table. And then you got Caleb Odom, another freshman in there who has really been playing more later in games, but when he's been able to get out there, he's really been taking advantage of that. Emmanuel Henderson, love seeing him getting some snaps, getting some opportunities. He had a nice catch and run against Wisconsin this weekend. And then Cole Adams, Rico Scott, also getting some activity for Alabama on the field as well. Specifically on Kendrick Law, though. So far this season, only one reception for 22 yards. It was a touchdown, but I think on that touchdown play, it was really great to see, just the explosiveness and, speed, that breakaway speed that Kendrick Law has. Jalen Milroe was kind of rolling out to the left. He was going to take off. Finds Kendrick Law kind of sitting down, in the middle of the zone, gets it to him, and he splits that gap between two defenders and, goes to the end zone. And, man, like I said, the explosiveness and that breakaway speed for Kendrick Law is, something that is just absolutely ridiculous. I want to see this guy get at least 3 targets a game. There's no reason that he should not be a part of the game plan some way, somehow. I think both Nick Sheridan and Kalen DeBoer do a very good job of being able to scheme guys open and, have designed plays for specific guys. So I really want to see Kendrick Law get some more targets at least, whether it's targets or whether it's, carries, because he's another guy. You can line him up in the backfield and do different things with him as well. I want to see Kendrick Law get involved a little bit more for Alabama this season. And, these wide receivers have been pretty solid for you. I think they stepped up in that Wisconsin game. That's something that I asked for. And Ryan Williams in particular, 10 receptions for over 285 yards and 4 touchdowns, already has the same amount of touchdowns that Isaiah Bond had for you last year. So there is no problem whatsoever in replacing Isaiah Bond. I know a lot of people thought that might be an issue, but Ryan Williams right now on 3 less receptions already has more yards and more touchdowns than Isaiah Bond. So there has been no issue replacing him for Alabama at that wide receiver position. Going back to Kendrick Law, though, I want to hear from you guys in the comment section again. Do you think he needs to get the ball more some way, somehow, whether that be targets in the passing game or hand it off to him on a jet sweep, just somehow get the ball in Kendrick Law's hands? If you think it's a yes, type Y for me. If you think it's a no, go ahead and type in the comment section. Guys, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Factor Meals because they are the sponsor of today's show. And look, with football now in full swing, we're a couple weeks in now, I have 0 time to cook. Look, we're getting out of the office most of the time at, 7:30 p.m. I'm not trying to go home and cook and then clean the kitchen at the end of the day. That's why I use Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to a menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you guys are, you will always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you guys waiting for? Get Factor meals right now. With 35 different meal options and more than 60 different add-ons to choose from every single week, you always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you guys can trust. Head to factormeals.com/BamaChat50 and use promo code BamaChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month as well. That's code BamaChat50 at factormeals.com/BamaChat50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's video. Heading over to the tight ends now. I think this is really, interesting how these tight ends have been used. C.J. Dupree, we knew coming into this season, was going to be really your tight end one, but I was not sure beyond that. Was it going to be Robbie Utes? Was it going to be Danny Lewis Jr.? A lot of people, thought Danny Lewis Jr., and I kind of agree with you too, that Danny Lewis Jr. should be a guy that is probably in there more. I think he's more athletic than, what we've seen. I think he's a good pass catcher. But look, I've been so impressed with Josh Cuevas so far this season. He hasn't played the most amount of snaps for Alabama. Number 3 right now for that snap count. But, already 3 receptions for 46 yards. And that touchdown that Jalen Milroe threw to him at the end of that Wisconsin game this past week was absolutely beautiful. I love that play design. You had a guy coming in motion, and then you just slipped him out right up the seam, for the touchdown grab. So, look, Josh Cuevas is a guy that I definitely thought was going to come in, and he was going to be solid for you. A good, player with the ball in his hands. He went crazy when he was in JUCO, and then, transferred to Washington and wasn't able to, really get in there a lot. But, now he's at Alabama, and he's able to do the thing right now. And also, Alabama uses these tight ends as blockers. The PFF blocking grades for these tight ends right now. C.J. Dupree, 57 run blocking snaps. He's been phenomenal. 77.1 grade right there for him. Robbie Oots, 41 run blocking snaps for him. He's been really good. Over 70 for his run blocking grade. And Danny Lewis Jr., 79 on 20 snaps. So these are really the main guys. I think Danny Lewis does a phenomenal job in blocking. Same with Robbie Oots. And I think C.J. Dupree and Josh Cuevas are really going to be the 2 guys in this tight end room that really separate themselves by the end of the season when it comes to, being able to catch the ball and, put up some production for Alabama through the air. Going over to the offensive line now. So I kind of did this, a little bit different. I got the starting offensive line snaps, and I got Geno Vandermark and Wilkenforby in there just because, they have been in the rotation early in the season. Really, Geno Vandermark is because of injuries, with Caden Proctor. But, he's already played a solid amount of snaps, 100 snaps for Geno Vandermark this season. Wilkenforby, I think he's probably, I'm sure he's going to play a little bit more this season. But for now, I think Elijah Pritchett is really going to take the bull by the horns when it comes to the starting offensive lineman snaps this season. So, look, I think Alabama's offensive line looked really, really good against Wisconsin. Definitely the best game they have played this year as a unit. Really hope it carries forward into that Georgia game. So let me know right now in the comments, guys, who do you think has been Alabama's best offensive lineman so far this season? I think you got some options to choose from. I don't think Tyler Booker has been super clean like we expected. I think Jaden Roberts has also, he's had some penalties as well. Parker Brailsford's had a couple snap issues with Jalen Milroe. And the other guys have been banged up. So it's a real hard question. I don't really know who has been the best offensive lineman for you. But I want to hear from you guys one more time in the comment section. Let me know who you guys think has been Alabama's best offensive lineman. Going over to the backups now, and I just wanted to throw this in there as well, because Alabama has been playing, their 2 offensive line, a pretty good bit so far this season. And I also wanted to kind of give the breakdown for them as well. Rock Montgomery, 42 snaps so far this year. 36 of those are at right guard. So looks like they're really, grooming him for that guard position. Also, 6 snaps at center. So definitely somebody who can be a backup center for you, in the future. Miles McVay, 39 snaps so far this year. They're using him at both of the tackle positions. 28 snaps at right tackle, 11 snaps at left tackle. Olas Alinen, pretty much every single one of his snaps this year was at left guard. And then you got Nikhil Betran, the transfer, also in 28 snaps at left tackle. And Joseph Ionata, 28 snaps at center. So I think it's really interesting to see where those backups are playing and how much, playing time they're getting. Also, 2 other guys who haven't gotten much playing time. Casey Poe, 8 snaps at right guard, and William Sanders, 8 snaps at left guard. So, look, I think Alabama's starting offensive line right now, as long as they can stay healthy, I think they're pretty good, but I am a little bit nervous about the depth right now along the offensive line. Not the numbers per se, but, if somebody goes down, who's going to go in and how good are they going to be? That is my biggest question for Alabama's offensive line going into the bye week in week 4.